a cavalcade of writers who dazzle with their wit, a mighty throng of seamen, awash with God and grit, the poets and the artists who venerate these shores, the tourists in their flip-flops, track sand into the stores, disciples of St. Peter, who worship by the sea, the wise Sicilian nonnas, reciting rosary, descendants of the English, the Finns and Portuguese, who greet each other daily and coexist in peace, the wealthy in their mansions, along a scenic drive, the minimum wage workers who struggle to survive, and don't forget the first ones, to walk these storied hills. Their whispers linger in the wind, their drumbeats echo still.
Okay, here we are. Here we are again, having fun before the show. And we're starting off, today's show is special, Gloucester Bookies. I'm Wayne Soiney. We'll try to go around who's here. George Rosen has come all the way from
Chicago.
Nearly Bayview.
Oh, Bayview. But Chicago before that, right?
Oh, Chicago before that.
Chicago
yes.
before
Well,
that.
yeah.
30 years before that.
And he
45 years.
Oh, no.
he was in the White House before it had a ballroom. Is that true?
That's right,
Yes,
yeah.
Wow.
Before it even had a roof.
You have to talk about that. That's like the 1870s.
Sharon Love
Cook.
who has
I've
come
come
to us,
all the way from Beverly Farms.
and you'll shortly see why we're all here. Laura Ventimiglia, who has so many notes and books already.
Wow.
It shows that she's in education as soon as you look at this part of the desk. I'm here, Wayne Soiney. We're all here because in some way or other we've written books. We've published books. And we've also often written short stories, or we've written cartoon captions and cartoons in your case.
Cartoons.
Or we've written translations, English and Italian, in the same book. Can you imagine?
That's right.
And so we'll put it all together today for you. Who is interested in writing? And I think everybody out there would identify with this, that if you're thinking, without putting it down on paper yet, if you're thinking, I say, you are writing. The question is, when are you going to put it to pencil to pen or on paper or do a computer routine? You're going to have that chance. We're discussing writing and things that we know about writing from our own experiences, or books about writing that we can recommend because they spoke to us and they helped us, may help you. So I'm going to go around the table and give the audience an impression of your background, why they should listen to you about writing. In case of George Rosen and Sharon and Laura and me.
And yourself.
Please.
Good question. Wayne.
Good question, right?
Maybe we should say it about each other.
Yeah, not to be modest or anything.
Right. Go ahead, George. What?
George has taught writing at college level, but
there
go
you
ahead.
go.
Yeah, that's true. I started. When did I start writing? I've always written things. Actually, the start of my interest in writing fiction, which I have done, I've published a book of short stories and a novel, and at various times. But my first lengthy writing was essentially the first time I ever paid attention to elementary school was in 5th grade when Mr. Dunn, a fine teacher, Mr. Dunn, he was, he had a picture of this on the wall, a portrait, painted portrait of a kind of a clown. I mean, at least as I remember, it may not have really been a clown, it just may have been a very peculiar looking non-clown. But in any event, there was this face on the wall, and he gave an assignment to everyone to write an autobiography of that guy in the picture. And so we were all, however, what, 10 years old, whatever you are in 5th grade. And we had several weeks to do it. And everyone, you know, by longhand wrote these autobiographies of the guy and illustrations, you know. I used crayon. Other people may have made other choices. I don't
Oil
know.
paint.
Yeah. Worth 1,000 words, you know. It just, you know, if you're pressed for time, you know, some people can do that faster than writing 1,000 words. And I think I still have that, though I'm not totally sure where, which is true of many things I have. But that's where I started, and I
Do you
really
remember
liked it.
anything about this first writing, other than it was in crayon and it was an autobiography?
Well, he died tragically.
The teacher, Mr. Dunn?
No, the guy who wrote the autobiography.
That's what I thought too.
No, Mr. Dunn went on for quite a long time. He was
Good.
he was everybody's favorite male teacher,
Isn't that
and
something?
Mrs. Smith. Who
There's
taught,
always one of those.
well,
you
yeah,
know?
the favorite, everyone's favorite woman teacher was a math teacher in 7th and 8th grade, where you had separate
Wow.
teachers.
Math, too.
Miss Smith, yeah, no, she was
Yeah.
just wonderful.
Wow.
And everyone was always trying to get Mr. Dunn and Miss Smith together. But in
Were
fact,
they both married?
well, they were both in same-sex relationships, which we only discovered in, you know,
Then you get
a
to-
few years
right.
down
That's
the
a
road.
lost
I mean,
cause.
this was in 1959, 8
Oh,
and 9,
yes.
you know, so
You wouldn't have known that.
We wouldn't have known that at the time, but they were spectacular teachers, both of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I hope they're watching now.
well, I don't know. You try and think back. I'm 79, so if I'm starting to think about, you know,
Yes.
someone who's already maybe
Looking down
20
from
years older
up
than
above.
me,
Well,
you
it
know,
still could be possible.
You never know.
You never know.
Especially with the internet, you know, they can, and maybe people don't know, but if they miss this, you can see this show
But
on YouTube.
In any case, you know that George has street creds.
Well, I have
he's
street
got it.
cred.
You've
So I
established
ended up working for my college newspaper, and then I ended up writing.
Was that story in the New Yorker? You were also in the New Yorker as well.
No, I was in the Atlantic. They
I'm
had
sorry,
a
the
story. Well,
Atlantic,
that's
all right.
right. No,
Just as prestigious.
no one has ever published the account of the guy. The way he died. You want to know what happened? See,
The clown.
the clown. He was sitting in a chair, and I think I drew the picture of this. And he somehow fell over backward in the chair and rolled into the wall and hurt himself. This is a rather ghoulish detail
For children. know.
Well, it's written by a child, so anything goes.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, when you're 10, no one's going to say, well, you shouldn't expose children to that. you know.
Yeah.
What do you want? I'm 10, you know.
That's right. 10. And the clown died?
And the clown died. Yeah, that was the end. And how I conveyed that in an autobiography, I'm not totally sure.
Not knowing anything about him.
You know, I could have.
Yeah.
What do?
Yeah.
You attach a little note. This manuscript was found after we found the
Underneath the
body
clown.
of this clown with his back broken against the wall.
That's an odd, sort of a sophisticated story for a 10-year-old, isn't it?
Next writer. Next writer.
Wait, I haven't done it.
No, wait a minute.
No.
He's not through yet.
No, I'm
Sharon.
through.
Just
I'm through.
warming
Go
up.
on to
Sharon
Sharon.
writes mystery stories at Granite Cove, but
Mystery
tell us
book. Well,
more.
Oh, my goodness. Well, first I want to tell you something, Wayne. I would just like to make this point that I thought you wanted us to recommend books about writing. That's what I thought, not our own books.
Your able to recommend books to people listening
Yes,
because
yes.
you are a writer and know what a good book about writing is.
Yes.
Because you write. And that's why
Yes.
I want to put on the table. We're not just readers of books about writing who just see it like through.
Yes, we're
you know,
not pushing our own-
The kid in the candy store looking through the window at the candy. We've tasted those candies and we know what's good. Go ahead.
Well,
You're right.
That's right. Well, I have, and I'm also a cartoonist. When I was a kid, well, when I was a teenager, I started writing a column. We grew up in Long Beach in the Rockport, and I used to write a column about Long Beach. And I was 17, and I also did cartoons with it. So that was such a thrill to get my cartoons published as well.
I mean, we're talking at this table. We're talking to a published author at age 17. I know you had your.
That's right, and it had a big circulation back then. I'm sorry.
Right. No, that's good.
Well, what I wanted to say is, so I thought, you know, you wanted to. So yesterday, I actually did some footwork. I know you probably think I'm something of a slacker, you know, that I don't prepare, but I did. I went to the Beverly Library, the great, huge, beautiful Beverly Library, and I'm looking for this book that I read when I was first starting out. I went to Bennington, the writing seminars. I, you know, got a degree there. It went when I was older as an adult. I was an adult residency program.
Well, that counts.
Oh my
In
goodness,
Vermont.
I love that. That's what I did in Vermont.
Yes. Oh, did you go to Bennington
No,
as well?
no,
Oh,
I went-
You did adult residency.
Residency, though.
Yeah, I did too.
Right. It was at Vermont College.
Vermont College, yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
Which started out from Goddard College.
Exactly,
And then
yes. I know
Goddard
people-
College sold that off
Yeah.
part to Vermont, and it
Yeah.
was actually, by the time I graduated, Vermont College had been bought by Norwich University, which has that military
the military
component.
academy.
Yes,
Yeah.
the military academy.
That's right. Well, Bennington, I think they
Yeah,
were
they
one
were-
of the earliest ones
Right,
too.
and I think there was some overlap between the Goddard College, the adult degree program I was in, and Bennington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
That's so interesting.
I had like a 3-hour drive. To me, that was because this might come as a surprise to you, but I do have a touch of ADD. I don't. I
No.
leave the H out because no one's ever accused me of being hyperactive. I'm just ADD, you know, attention deficit disorder. No H. But anyway,
I'm just aged.
so
Just in single A.
you're just A.
I'm just aged. Yes, that's right.
Well, that
All the
too.
other things have dropped. All the other letters have dropped away.
I just kind of forget them too. I know. I'll just say I've got A, you know, whatever. Well, anyway, so that might come as a shock to you, but it is true. But I just wanted to say that it was a 3-hour drive to Bennington, and I remember anything over an hour, now it's like an hour, I just get so terribly distracted, you know, I can't stand it. And I remember all right, Alice Munro, I brought her books on tape, you know, CD, and I remember there was one story there at the end, and as I was approaching the last half hour to Bennington, it was just a monotonous, I remember, scenery, and I got this at the library too, and I remember she was talking about sheep and different sheep. It was just so detailed and so factual, and I got so mad. I remember I grabbed that CD and I threw it out the window. I threw it out the window. I couldn't stand it.
CD.
Yes. Don't tell them. They're probably still looking for it, you know. So, all right. So I will get down to the business at hand. So you distracted me, Wayne. I told you.
That's what it is.
I know.
You've had in your hands authentic writers' stories and thrown it out the window. But that's, I mean, that's all part of the experience.
No one would have wanted that particular one anyway. It was just about sheep.
Yeah, but littering in Vermont? I mean,
Right,
come on.
They didn't catch me.
Come on.
I know.
That's
Oh, you're right.
serious.
I tried to get it on the way back, but it was on the other side of the road, and I wasn't quite sure where I
Wait a
threw
minute,
it. You
then
know.
Sharon, well, I'm not giving you one of my books because I don't want it to be out the window. That's how you review books.
Hey,
It stays in the car or it's out the
Laura,
window.
tell people why.
I read yours in bed. They're very. I like.
Well, that's almost a recommendation.
If I throw it
This-
out, I find it the next day.
This is the answer from Sharon, which is that she reads Laura's books. Why should we pay attention to you on writing, Laura? Actually, you just half gave the answer, which is she writes books that are interesting and readable.
right.
But go ahead. Why should
So,
we
I'm
listen
not
to you on
sure.
writing?
Well, so
Excuse me.
No,
Can
you
I
go
just
right. Yes, go right ahead.
Can I just say what I brought with me?
Yes.
I got distracted. You know,
I'm
Yeah.
I
sorry.
digressed there.
There.
Well, I just
pick it
want to
up
say the most fascinating book I read, and I just loved it, and I had to look it up, and the library didn't have it, but they said, well, it's John Gardner. You know, he was
Oh, my
Raymond,
gosh, yes, go
Raymond
ahead, keep
Carver's
going.
mentor. You know,
Yes.
and he wrote two of them. They sound so similar. One is On Becoming a Writer,
Right.
and then he wrote On Becoming a Novelist. Well, On Becoming a Writer, I remember what I loved about the first line. I love this book. The first line, he said, if you want to become a writer, he said, it helps if you had a wacky childhood or some wacky. I don't know if he used the word wacky, but something like that, crazy or
Right.
you know,
Drew you in.
insane. If you and I thought that was pretty good. He went on,
Yes.
you know. So I like that a lot.
And with your mother
Leaving me.
leaving you, or
Leaving me at the
putting the
hospital.
what was it she used to put
It's
on
a
your
wonder
head, the
they.
pumpkin?
It's a wonder they picked me up.
I
Maybe they
know,
should
and
put
there
them in
wasn't
the
there a
waiting
time
room.
you had like a
See?
pumpkin on your head or something? You had a wacky child.
The-
Oh, you see, now this is an
No.
entree that, you know,
so many
the
almost.
listening
We'll-
audience
we'll
may
come-
not know the
I know.
story.
True.
We'll compare wackiness later.
That's a
Not
good
in-
idea. That's a good
If you
idea.
if you
I
missed
know.
the front page story when Sharon was.
Oh, also,
It was in the Times
if you
long
read
ago.
Friday's Gloucester Daily Times, a Halloween story. We had such fun on
Yes.
Halloween.
With
we would
a
cover
picture.
the city.
Yeah.
And there was one
And
man.
we'll see you
now, let
as
me just
Bugs
tell you what
Bunny.
I said, Wayne.
Yes.
There was one man, I mentioned this man. I said he gave out bottles of Twin Light soda. We called it tonic back then. That's what everybody called it. Do you remember
in this
tonic?
area,
Twin
out in the
Lights.
woods, yeah.
And he was, it was in East Gloucester, and I remember he had an apartment on the second floor. He did this, 2 years in a row. My sister and brother and I, we climbed the stairs just because, I mean, to give out a whole bottle, it was small bottles
Yeah.
of Twin Lights,
Right.
but I said he wore BVDs, you know, a boxer, boxer shorts,
Yeah.
boxer shorts, but it was actually tighty whities. Now you know what those are.
Okay.
He wore those and ratties, and sometimes he had a cape on. And,
This was
and
Halloween or
that's-
and
just
Halloween.
on occasional times
And he
during the week
opens the
when the
door to
adults
kids
were out
that way,
away.
right.
Yeah, and the cases of soda were in the hallway, and we'd rap on his door. You know, a lot of kids would try to steal one, but they were, he had them locked up.
Numbered.
And he would open it, and we knew he was a little odd. We thought that, so we knew enough. You don't go inside, but we stood there in the hall, and he would pass out Twin Lights. So if you read my column in the Gloucester Times, the 31st, October 31st, Halloween, I write about this man, but I make him sound a little less peculiar, because that was peculiar, but it was worth it, to
Right.
climb all those stairs.
And
because
get that
no one
soda.
ever
Get
gave.
that soda,
And I
yeah.
said it kind of compensated for those people who gave you apples, remember? You wanted to throw them at their house, throw it at their window.
In the short story
meant
I
well.
once wrote, I said about a thinly veiled Gloucester that it had a disturbingly high tolerance for eccentricity.
Yes.
And I think this may be an example of that.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
right.
fact that you've suppressed the darker sides of whatever memory this is about the guy in tidy whities.
Tidy whities,
Open
yes.
up the door and
And he
pass
was young, a young man.
young
Usually
man.
old people do
and he'd
this.
pass out bottles of tonic.
Yep.
Okay.
And very methodical. We stood in line and we got our bottles. But I didn't want to make it sound, I thought, you're going to get those mothers who are going to write and say, this is why kids shouldn't go out alone.
Right.
That's the point of my story. And the title was, Don't Drive a Stake Through the Heart of Halloween. And I said, if my mother ever wanted to, suggested going trick-or-treating with us, I said, we would have taken off like the Roadrunner, left her in the dust, shh, we'd be gone, no kid would be caught with their parent, but I know people say, oh, you got to do that today, you know. Well, anyway. Anyway, the other thing I thought would be interesting, and I'll just do this quickly. I won't do them all.
Yeah.
Elmore Leonard. I'm sure we've all, Elmore Leonard, you must know, being
Elmore
from
Leonard.
Chicago. His
Detroit
10
actually is his place, but
okay.
yeah,
Well, you're familiar.
oh yes,
Everybody,
fine writer.
well, his 10 tips, and
And
every
he'd warn you about some of these things we're hearing now.
well 10.
So
Do you
Don't let
remember
them
all
get
the
the book.
kids who went off on their own trick or treating?
Yes,
and
never came back.
Yeah, the ones who really had the dark stories, they never came back. You know, they're just.
Oh, I'd love to hear those. Now that would be interesting. I'm sorry, Wayne.
Says the mystery writer.
Writer,
Well,
yeah.
all
Yes,
right.
it could.
What I just want to, and I won't read them because I know
Yeah.
we must move on.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Wayne. Number one. Okay. Number one. Never open a book with weather. Okay. And I'm not going to read what he has
Oh
to say
my
about
gosh,
it.
you actually typed up his tips?
Oh no. I got them online and I printed it.
By
Okay.
Elmore
2.
Leonard.
Avoid
Okay.
prologues. 3. Never use a verb other than said to convey dialogue. 4. Never. Okay. 5. Keep your exclamation points under control. I remember one of my teachers at the Stone Coast Writing Conference said the only time you should use an exclamation point is after the word fire. I like
sorry,
that. Rob Lee Wilson, I forget his. Okay, now let me see. Never use the word suddenly or all hell broke loose. Okay, I'll just tell you number 8, avoid detailed description of characters. Number 9, don't go into great detail describing places and things. Okay, number 10, this is the best. This is everyone knows this one. They comment on this all the time. He's known for this. Number 10, try to leave out the part that readers tend to skip. He'll tell you what parts those are. I won't go into it because I've already used too much of my allotment.
Well, you've
you found-
advanced. You've advanced us all into this idea that there's writing tips to be had from Elmore Leonard and
Yep,
others.
these
And
are
that's
sort
certainly, we like that.
Yeah.
Laura, why should we listen to you about writing?
Jeez, Wayne, how gracious.
Really? I don't know that you should.
I think we've
I
got to
don't
get
know that
another
you
leader
should,
of this
right.
group.
I
He's been
certainly
doing
don't-
it too long.
I
He
certainly
needs a
can't top
stronger
any of
whip
that.
hand,
I know. Who's going to top that? Maybe you. But interestingly enough, I didn't get interested in writing until I was at Vermont College in the adult degree program. And we had to write. I mean, that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
We actually created our own equivalent of 5 courses. We created it when we were on campus because it was a low residency program. Created it, had to go before a committee, get approved, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. But you had to do anything you would do, you had to actually build your own syllabus, your writings, their requirements, all that jazz.
Wow, that's hard to do.
It is.
Yeah,
but
come up with that.
One requirement we had to do every semester was the equivalent of one writing course. So we had when I say the equivalent of 5 courses, that was all intermixed. Like you would do statistics while you were doing cultural studies and all that jazz. It was really interesting, but that's when I got interested in writing because we had to write. And the other thing was, once we started our program, our semester while we were still on campus, we were part of a small group and we were assigned based on the differences in our topics. So we had to help each other. This probably doesn't relate, but this is what got me thinking about writing. Not just that I had to write because we had to do a writing course, the equivalent, but I was always in a group with fictional writers of fiction, of the most bizarre topics.
Yeah.
Like way out of my comfort zone, which is why they put me in the groups. Like,
Yes, yes.
they put you in a group where you would have to stretch out of your comfort zone. I think the first semester I was there, I didn't say one word, and the faculty started saying, "Are you okay? Are you
Yeah,
okay?"
yeah.
Because it was so different for me. But listening to them, we had to share our work. We had to write. It was almost like a writers group.
Yeah.
You had to bring your work. You had to read it, get feedback. You had to help them with their own research. So it's like doing your own work plus some of theirs. Really, really challenging. So that's when I got interested in writing. But I went from there to right into a master's program in teaching. So all of my earlier writings were about education.
Yeah.
In fact, so this is probably going to take too much time, but so my daughter right now is in a doctoral program at Endicott College.
Oh,
She's in
that's their first doctoral program.
yes,
just
yeah.
opened.
So
Yeah.
their PhD for nursing.
Oh, wow.
Yes, no, so her topic, as she started out, was mentoring. So she said, do you have any suggestions for books? And I said, yeah, this one. And she, because mine were mentoring and education that I had used and forgotten that I had written some stuff. So she writes this paper and she said, will you just take a look at it for me? Just let me know what you think. So I'm reading the paper and I said, it's probably like 6 pages of initial first stab at a draft. And I'm going through it and I'm making comments to myself because I don't want to. And then when we were talking about it, I said to her, I don't know who this guy is, but honest to God, he's got it right on. This is what you want to be saying. That you want, what he's saying is the focus of your work. She said to me, but Mom, that's the article that you wrote. There were 3 of us who wrote a chapter in a book on mentoring, and I had totally forgotten about it.
Oh my
And here I am
God.
telling, of course, the guy's
Yes.
name went first, so
Yeah.
it's like whatever his last name was, and then et cetera, et cetera. So maybe, just maybe, that
Yeah.
might be a reason to
Listen
listen
to you.
to me.
Yes.
How's
Good.
that?
That's good.
That's right, because if she knew it was you, if you knew it was, you didn't recognize
I didn't recognize it other than the fact that I just thought that was perfect and right on target.
Well,
You
that
know,
was,
it was just
What
right
you,
there.
what you,
You
it's
got
the
the-
fact that you really liked
yes, I know.
Right.
whoever that is.
Whoever that is, they would. That's who you want to listen to.
Track them down.
Right. Anyway, so why should we listen to you, Wayne?
That's
Other
right.
than the fact that you've probably published more than 30 books.
Well, no,
I
we've
know.
been, we've been listening
Yeah.
to.
And he was valedictorian of his class
That's
of like
true, too.
700.
We-
He gives me $5
we-
every time I
we-
say that.
We've from George and Sharon
Yeah.
and Laura, we've all gotten the impression, rightly, I think, in different ways, that writers differ and that nobody writes the same. In George's 5th grade class, he wrote an autobiography of a clown who was already dead. And nobody else did. Hey, I gotta say, you must have been unique in that regard.
That's very
Well,
dark.
You never know. What I have learned, open parentheses, what I've learned in the past, actually I learned it about 4 years ago, but it came up again a year ago. Someone sent me, I grew up, most of my childhood was spent in a suburb of Chicago called Glencoe, Illinois, and right nearby it was Wilmette, Illinois. And so I have a friend, and we all went to the same high school. So someone who was in Wilmette sent me a little notice which they had come across, which was a picture of the 5th graders, may have been 5th or 6th graders from just the public elementary school in Wilmette, a group of class, little tiny photographs which were obviously, stuck on a ditto machine or something together. But it was one page because these two people had letters in the alphabet very similar. But it turns out that in 1938 or 9, Charlton Heston and Edward Gorey, I don't know,
Edward Gorey,
were in the
yes.
same
Class?
we're in the same 5th grade class. And there's
Just
pictures of little Edward Gorey looks like a normal person. You know, it doesn't.
Just
We're not talking about,
imagine.
you know,
Yeah.
he's this guy who did the
Yeah.
wonderful
The cartoon.
the cartoons and the opening
Well-
of the PBS mystery things and
Oh,
all that. And he just looks
yeah.
like a kid. And Charlton Heston, who does not look like God or, you know, or Moses or whatever the heck,
Wow.
just looks like Charlton Heston. And
He wasn't wearing a bare-chested.
no, yeah, it was, I've been.
That's how we remember
I've been
Charlton
imagining kind of nasty playground confrontations.
Oh, they probably
between a
picked
bully,
on poor
bu-
Gory. Oh,
yeah,
I'm sure
that's
they
right.
did.
And then he went back and
Yeah,
you know,
I
drew
know.
horrid murder, wonderful horrid murder
Became
scenes of
One of the best
yeah.
known cartoons.
So these can all see that this is something that would prompt me to write something, and I think this something that, you know, this kind of childhood might be something that prompted
That would-
Edward Gorey to, you know, be a writer
That
and
falls
an
into the
illustrator.
category of wacky,
Yeah.
a wacky childhood.
And
Wow.
Go
we've,
ahead.
we've been talking about it.
And yeah,
it's,
it was
it's really
just,
a,
you know,
a-
Yeah,
a
it's
good-
just common.
It was
yeah.
just
Yeah.
When you look at any
Wilmette
class-
Elementary School.
I think if we go back and look at pick out any classroom, you know, from years ago, or even, and you'll find these individuals who are, you know, out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Well, we were picking up on that. In your memory, and people out there, in your memories of fifth grade or any other class that you were in, or any workplace that you were in, or any bus that you traveled on, you will think and remember, and there were different characters. People were not all alike. And yet in your writing, sometimes novices, I know in my time, when we are first writing, everybody's alike. And they may have a different name, but they're all the same people, and they're very, you know, sketchy and thin characterizations. Yes, in life, people, you want to bring that out, as George just did, and as you can in describing the group, that so many different angles on writing. You can't help if you aspire to great writing. You can't help but notice and articulate the differences between people. So I think one of the things that we go as a first step is boiling down the last half hour of discussion we've had.
No, we're just
It's about-
introducing ourselves. Lynn.
that's right. We haven't gotten to the
And you
mission.
haven't even.
He hasn't
He hasn't even
you
done
haven't
that.
even had a
He's done it.
chance.
Yeah.
Don't be so modest.
Well, I was
You have
born-
5 minutes. Go on. Check the clock.
I was born without hair or teeth, and I couldn't speak English, and I started out that way and gradually got to the point where I could actually write and publish a book.
30 of them,
Well,
or 31,
great
or 32.
strides.
And,
I know.
but in
And
this,
he was
Oh, hold on,
60.
hold on.
We
And
should go.
Speaking of which, this.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
No, I'm not. No, but we're out. Okay. So this is when. Is this your latest book?
Yes.
This is the
latest,
his
latest published book.
latest published book. So the title I never will be able to pronounce. Would you
The
read it?
Trials of Herschel Greenspan.
Greenspan. And on the back it says, did a 17-year-old fire the first shots of World War II in Paris in 1938?
Which is
Wow.
Isn't that?
nonfiction.
It's
He was-
nonfiction.
I shouldn't say.
No.
It's
He's
a historical novel based
military
on
expert,
fact.
too.
Right, right,
Wow.
right.
Yeah.
Wayne's got a
Just out-
huge.
just out- so
Yeah.
if we don't get to it in this
Interest is
show,
interesting.
we need to
Yeah.
go, because part of the you still haven't introduced yourself. We're all introducing you
And
for
can,
you.
Can I say something too? I finished a little while ago one of Wayne's. Oh, it was fabulous. This those Rockport residents out there, the 2 Rockport murders. It's a murder. Wayne, what is it? A murder in Rockport.
The murder in Rockport, Massachusetts.
A murder in Rockport. And I said, if you like police procedurals, it goes into such detail. I mean, it really is fascinating. Like, I kept wanting to know, are they going to find this guy? They did so much. And I can't help but thinking, if they had, you know, the show like Forensic Files, can you imagine what they would have done with that?
Oh,
They would have found the murderer, you know, in a day.
In an
They
hour.
never found them. And what they did, they went to each individual house. Just
Yeah.
imagine that. People had to let these cops in, had to let them in, and they searched the house and they questioned
Right.
everyone. And if you refused, well, you were suspicious.
Right. So so
Let's
here's the
segue.
thing. No, I'll go.
Yeah.
You go. You go.
We're gonna
But
seg-
this is
we're
the
gonna
point that
seg-
you've done so many different
We're going to
topics.
segue from that to this
Into-
and
yeah.
related.
Yeah.
It's related to what you just said. Storycraft is a book that I'm recommending by Jack Hart, H-A-R-T, Storycraft. And it's a new book, 2025, and it's available in the library. This one is a library copy. Sharon's mentioned in different words
wish I brought
that
it
there were
with me.
many
Yeah.
many different characters, many different possibilities and suspects
Yeah.
in this book that I wrote. But that's mentioned here in this way. When you're writing a story, you want to deal with developing, fleshing out, making three-dimensional, vivid characters. That's one of the things you want to do.
Yeah.
See, does this fellow have that in mind when he's telling you about storytelling or storycraft, as he put it? Chapter 5 is character, developing character. Chapter 8 is dialogue. Some of us have more strengths and weaknesses with dialogue, but he talks about that. From the beginning, we're always saying, what is the story? And you said, in your case, your daughter you were helping, that's the focus, that's the story. You can find in their writing, anybody's writing, a story that could be developed further. Or you can find in your 5th grade classroom with Charlton Heston and Edward Gorey, a story that begs to be written out as well. So he's got chapter 1, story, chapter 2, structure, chapter 3, we all struggle with it, point of view. For first person, third person, autobiography, biography, or whatever you want. And other things are in here. How can I say it? If there's anything you are teased about and wonder, teasing yourself about and trying to get there, that you don't quite grasp when you're writing. You know you're stuck on something in your writing, or you're not advancing the way you want to in it. This book can help. In the odd case, is it fiction or nonfiction that he's mainly talking about? He calls it, subtitle, The Complete Guide to Writing Narrative Nonfiction, which is extraordinary because, for my money, every lesson that he suggests in here is applicable to
Fiction.
twice over to fiction. Because when you're writing nonfiction, you are handcuffed or bound by the facts, and you can't deviate from them. It's just an ethical obligation when you're doing nonfiction. So if he's doing this kind of juggling and figuring out and putting a framework together, structure, point of view, character, and all these rest, with nonfiction, the sky's the limit. You can use all of these and more because you're able to invent when it's fiction that you're talking about. So I commend this book, either whether you're writing nonfiction or fiction. Plus, it's free in the library, and I encourage that. I will hold off on my second offer as people have brought some information here.
Can I just say
You're
one thing
out
that
of
I just
line.
stumbled?
You're out of line. Next is Laura, and then you can say, yeah, all right, go ahead. Go ahead.
While Laura gets her papers,
You go right ahead.
he won't let me come back the next time if I was going to say,
We'll let
I'll
him.
pretend
We'll-
you didn't see that.
We'll sneak you in, Sharon.
I just want to say, this is very quick. If you go to YouTube, like at night, I've discovered, I've never really been interested in YouTube, but I went to YouTube and I talked into the little remote, and I put writing a blockbuster novel. I wrote that. And well, my God, you can't, or if you said best-selling or even writing a novel, and the best thing, they all came up, these little clips, little videos, and the best thing is the longest is 10 minutes. And these are people, some of them well known. It's fabulous. It's almost too much good stuff.
On
You
that
can get
point-
overwhelmed. I loved
Yeah.
On that point, those
Yeah.
10
Yes, Elmore Leonard.
advices
Yeah.
from
For writing
Elmore
a-
Leonard
Yeah.
are available by Elmore Leonard speaking to you on a YouTube.
On YouTube.
Oh,
and,
yes,
and some
right.
and some others.
Yep.
Elmore
sure.
Leonard, you couldn't meet him today. He's gone. He's passed away. But Elmore Leonard is available to you on YouTube because he left these 10-minute clips on various things in
That's right.
writing. And,
I'll bet your Mr. Dunn is on YouTube too.
I don't think so.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, it'd be worth looking
Well,
into.
Yeah, but,
I'm
well,
going-
I'm gonna
another
jump in.
parenthesis
I'm
here.
gonna
Jump in on the YouTube.
I'm gonna
Oh,
go to Laura,
Right.
and then we'll get
Oh.
over the you.
Yes, that's right. You can think of it. Give it
The
more
most
thought.
polite one should have.
Yes, that's
So
right.
I don't know what
And she's-
I don't know what you chit, but anyway. So I'm going to jump in on the YouTube because one of the things that I wrote educational articles and chapters and stuff when I was, in education in higher ed, and then when I retired, I started to do some of the fun stuff. But what I would really like to do is write a really good memoir about my experiences of family history search and identity and my experiences of researching and finding family and myself in Italy. But I just struggle with it. So I write a little bit and then I'll do something else. But what I'm leading up to is that if anybody is interested in memoir writing, a great source on YouTube, but she also has other things, is Alison Waring. Alison with one L, Alison, wearing as if I'm wearing a coat. And this is one, I would say not everything she writes is memoir, but she'll take a piece of her life and write about it in memoir format, but she's incorporating, building into it, the history of the particular area that she's in. So this book, Moments of Glad Grace, a memoir, is about, I think it's a 2-week period that she went to Ireland with her father, who had Parkinson's disease and was very elderly and didn't have much, probably the last time he was going to travel.
That must have been tough.
Yeah, and he wanted to do at least one more genealogy trip. He was really deep into the family history. He asked her to go with her. He asked her to go with him as his traveling companion to help him, and she was like having nothing to do with genealogy, but she really loved her father. So this memoir was so well written. It engages you. It's funny like Sharon. So I felt like I'm reading a Sharon Love Cook book, just because it's so amusing and entertaining.
There's a little wackiness in there.
Yes, there's a little wackiness
How
in
about
there.
a lot of wackiness?
A lot. But it also, I learned so much about the history of Ireland.
Well, I'm only interjecting because people out there, when they're thinking memoir, are often thinking memoirs of U.S. Grant during the Civil War, which comes from his birth
I don't think of
really
that.
up
Do
to
you,
his
George?
moment of sickness and
No,
almost
I
death.
like that, but I don't think
Mem-
of that.
I don't think
You
I
don't
don't
think
think
of-
of
But
U.S.
that's-
Grant.
but
Not when
that's-
someone says memoir.
I just mean in the nature of memoir, you're thinking the whole
Whole
life.
life, the whole
right?
life,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
No.
No.
She's got a good example for you. Laura said this one's about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks of the life. You can take a slice of life,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
right,
perfectly
right.
acceptable
You don't have
come out.
to. You leave out the boring part.
So,
Right.
That's well said.
I like
And
that.
so people out there who are considering, I want to write about my life, but don't write. You don't have to write about your whole life. You can write a slice and develop it like that.
And
And
Wayne,
if you
that's
go to
become so
YouTube-
popular today.
Yes.
Memoir writing, I
Yes.
see that in the classes, people holding.
Before I go to
I just had to
Sharon,
say, if you
you-
go,
No.
if you search it in YouTube for Alison Waring,
Yeah.
you get 6, 8, 10-minute clips.
Yeah.
And this one.
Of
Oh,
this.
they're-
And this, so
They're great.
So one of
And
the
they're-
things,
they're
so I
quick.
actually subscribe, there's a lot of stuff you can get from Alison for free. And then, of course, she has paid courses that you can take. But somebody asked her in one of the things that I follow, would she recommend some books on writing memoir? And she said, I don't like to recommend books on writing because everybody's experience is different, yada,
Yeah.
yada, yada. But she recommended this one, Thinking About Memoir. And believe it or not, it was published under AARP. I know it was,
yeah.
and I checked the. I don't think
For
I'm
old
using-
folks.
For
The
old folks.
The name of the author
is Abigail Thomas,
right.
and I have to say
From a
this.
distance, it looks like a Squirrel Nutkin book.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
What's
Very
a squirrel
short,
nut?
very
Right.
good.
Oh,
But-
same person wrote Peter Rabbit.
Peter Rabbit,
President
Beatrice
Donald
Potter.
Trump.
Beatrice
Oh,
Potter.
oh,
Beatrix
yes. Oh,
Potter.
sure.
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
Looks
It's
like
got
a
her
children's.
style.
Yes.
But anyway, so
And you've read it. You recommend it.
Kinda
I've read it and
cutesy.
I recommend it because it gets you out of that feeling of
But
you
she
have to
invented
do
cutesy
these
Beatrix
massive
Potter.
writing projects.
That's what we're trying to get
and
across.
They've,
And
she's
we're
been
turning to
debunked, you know.
Sharon.
Yes. Oh, yes, Wayne.
On the air. We might
We're trash talking
wanna
about
talk
Beatrix
about-
Potter.
want to talk about writing.
Debunking her.
Writing.
Oh, yes. Now, what about it, Wayne?
Well,
Writing? We're talking about writing?
This is
What?
going to end
That's
up on
what-
this is
when the
this is
when
the
we
wrong
taping
room.
that's
This
going
is
to
what
end
we're
up
gonna
on
cut
the
out.
cutting
you,
floor.
I know.
you have used portions of your life, I'm saying, and then you can confirm this or deny it, in your writing mystery stories,
Oh.
among other things.
Granite Cove is
Granite-
Cape Ann.
That's
I said,
right.
Yep.
If you think back and you
It's
say,
a
where does Granite Cove
oh,
come
yes.
from in your books? It's from your experiences in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And besides that, I'm asking you, are people from Gloucester in composite form or partially also in there? People that you've known.
I'm going to answer for you and say yes.
Well, you can't help it. I mean, anybody who, you know what they always say, you write about yourself.
You write what you know.
Yeah, you write what you know, right. You write what, and they just sneak in. They have a way of sneaking in. I find it very hard to think about something, a person, and have them doing something totally different that they wouldn't do, you know. That would really throw me off. But I do say about Granite Cove, I said, it's midnight in Granite Cove. Only the sea clams are open. All right. And then there's
There it
another.
is, see?
Yeah. I've got all these little mottos about Granite Cove. But I'll tell you one thing that is not Gloucester. It said, I refer to Granite Cove as the traditional sleepy little fishing village. Now, we know there's nothing sleepy about Gloucester. You could call it many things, but no one would ever call it sleepy. Rockport, maybe, years ago. You know. I mean, years ago, no, when I was a kid, Rockport was sleepy. They rolled the sidewalks up, you know, at night. And it's, well, mercifully, it has all changed now because, you know, when you're a kid, you know, you like the lights, the bright lights, the carnivals, and things like that always took place in Gloucester.
No, thank you, Sharon. And now we're on to George.
Yes.
Nothing about Rockport. This is going to be what she said about characters.
Place and place.
And if you have in your mind, whether you're writing a short story or a fiction that's a novel or whatever that you were thinking of writing, working on, and characters appeared in there that were based on people that you knew, would you have them, do they have a life of their own in your imaginations that you follow? Do they control, in some sense, your writing?
I think it's important to have them have a life of their own. I mean, if you're just trying to, you know, write, no offense to the Reader's Digest, for those of us old enough to remember what was the most successful magazine,
I know.
you know, and probably in the history of at least the 20th century America.
Everybody had a copy.
You know, the most unforgettable character
Oh.
I've ever met. And they would have a piece like that, and people would write in, and they
Yes,
were.
remember that?
Anyone could write in.
Yeah.
It was, you know,
Yeah.
it was not. These weren't pros necessarily
Yeah.
writing these things.
But they
And
were characters, weren't they?
They were characters, but I'm not sure I can remember.
I know,
speaking.
I know.
I don't think I can remember a single one of the most unforgettable characters.
I know, George. That's depressing, isn't it? You spend so much time reading it.
I ever
remember.
met. And, you know, certainly odd people or people, who I've known have been the kernel of a story or something, but it only becomes, to me, an interesting, at least fictional story if they go off and
Go off the deep end.
they follow their own paths, and
Good. When they do that, do you try to redirect them to some other place, or do you follow
well,
them?
sometimes I put them in different places. I mean, it's an interesting idea to me, and has been a kernel of a story. It's at various kind, to take someone I've known very well, or even, actually more interestingly, someone I don't know very well. If writing an intense memoir of your own individual family and trying to pay some attention to truth, that's a very difficult kind of thing to do.
Well, especially because, to me, Alison Waring calls memoir writing an art. So there's this gray area, is what she says on a YouTube video.
Yes.
That, where memory changes as you rethink about things, and what the reader is looking for, and the whole purpose of writing, and I'm just jumping on the memoir, I know that's not where you were going.
No, that's
is that the memoir is not about the facts, it's more about the evolution of the character of the author. So the purpose is coming to understand understand yourself, understand your character, become compassionate with all those people in your lives.
And there are different approaches you can take with it. I mean, and probably the most, this is probably true, probably the most successful fiction in quotation marks writer that I know is Susanna Kazin, who wrote Girl Interrupted, which was, a wildly successful book and became a movie and everything like that. And it's, in structure, it's a memoir of her time spent in McLean's, mental hospital. And
Was that in the 60s when or was it in the 70s?
well, she wrote it in the 90s, but it was about.
It took place what?
It takes place. The movie had Natalie Portman and
Yeah.
I can't remember who the other person. I actually haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know. But the approach she chose to take, and she was a little fudgy about this, was to give a memoir as she was remembering it, and with changes. And there are things which aren't true in it. And she was thinking of it as a narrative, as a story, and was trying to tell the story, which became fascinating. But it wasn't clinging to the truth, because she was telling her story,
Right.
her version of it, and what this ran up in her particular case was all these people were saying, "Oh my God, I'm a tortured, mentally disturbed 17-year-old. Help me," and that wasn't what she was doing, And there are people who can. There are people who can do that. There are people who can just take a person who but put them in a situation which is not where you've seen them, and just kind of ask yourself questions like, how would that person, that character, act in that situation? And you're talking about something that's made up. That person wasn't in that situation, and that can free you in a lot of different ways. But you can also, when you talk about narrative nonfiction, was that the term
This
used?
is narrative nonfiction.
Narrative nonfiction, that kind of term really didn't emerge until Truman Capote wrote In Cold Blood in the mid-1960s.
And then everyone
was doing a
took off.
nonfiction novel. And there, because he was using his novelistic techniques, and that's gone. I mean, that was a sensation in that, but it's went on forever. And I mean, it's been going on forever. Historians, Barbara Tuchman's *The Guns of August*, which people may have read, got criticized in some circles because she was fabricating conversations between historically very important people, which you know, she didn't necessarily have evidence of making up. But I mean, you know, you sort of have to pay attention to the outlines of what you're doing. But you can choose a lot of different approaches.
There's the authors that you're talking about, and this last remark about different approaches, is it usually comes out not in the first draft. I think all of us would agree. First draft is not going to be the final draft. People out there don't realize writing is rewriting. It's not a sin. It's not a disgrace. It's not an admission of failure. It's the very essence of the process of writing. Writing is rewriting. So you go back and say, this character is, let's say, this character is sort of dull and boring and nothing is happening. And this would be an interesting twist if I had this character do something outside of their comfort zone that they've never done before, and to see what they're made of, and it'll show. This book is by John McPhee, another one whose specialty is non-fiction, but whose techniques are all over in every way usable by a fiction writer or a memoir writer. And his book is a very short one. It's available in the library. This is a library copy. It's draft number 4. And one of the chapters is called draft number 4. And he's talking about looking at a piece of paper on which he's written a lot already, a draft, and finding that this thing's wrong with it, and he should change it. And he goes about the business of doing that and describing the kinds of things that happen to authors when they're rewriting. And I thought that's a wonderful description of a process by a master of writing, a best-selling master of writing, if anybody knows. And we're almost in the last 30 seconds. And it's just time for you to start your story about running down Main Street, having run through a door.
Well, and also...
And don't feel bound by the truth.
I won't feel bound by the time.
Nor by the time.
I won't feel bound by the time either. I just might mention...
This will be the trailer to the next show.
The next show.
A teaser,
so
actually,
we might,
is what we need here.
So we might get, more viewers will want to tune in.
You'll have to tune in next time.
But I did want to say, I forgot another motto I had about Granite Cove. I said Granite Cove. Okay, here's what it is. It said Granite Cove.
And we'll see.
Come for the
next time you'll
come for the chowder, stay for the murder. That's it. I forgot that one.
Thank you.
Tuolla Lontoossa Jennin mä kohtasin. Halo Vepi, oho. Hän on neidosten joukossa kaunihin. Halo Vepi, oho. Suukon kirsikka silmät niin mustat kuin yö. Ja ne loisti kuin tuikkiva tähtien työ.